Hello, everybody. Welcome to our open office hours. We are done with the Jason show of 5 Jason open office hours in a row. That was really fun going over our core values. But today we are here with Derek Oshauer. He is from Conversion Bridge, and so he's going to dive into analytics, and it might be a little nerdy of learning all of the different things of analytics, but it'll definitely be fun because this ties into our next open office hours, which Derek is also going to talk about a little bit. I'll talk about it more. But Derek, if you want to give your introduction a little bit and just take it away.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Derek. I have a plugin called Conversion Bridge, which helps people put their analytics tracking on their website, the tracking tags on there. But more importantly, it tracks conversions, which is something going beyond just basic page views. So if you just, a lot of people cut and paste the Google Analytics tracking tag in like a header or footer, custom code plugin or something like that. But what that does, that only really gets you the page view analytics, meaning what pages are people visiting on your site and stuff like that. But what's really important to help grow a website is really tracking what people do on your website that is important. That could be anything from clicking on specific buttons. It could be submitting forms, or if you're here with the Paid Memberships Pro, it's probably signing up for memberships on your website. So those are some examples in what are called conversions, the actions that you want users to actually take on your website. So Conversion Bridge makes it really easy to set up your analytics, but then also track those conversions in your analytics so that you can make more informed decisions. It also works with ad platforms, Meta Ads, Google Ads, of course, I'm blanking on some other names, Microsoft Ads, LinkedIn, X, Pinterest. There's all kinds of different ad platforms that you can do as well. So it makes it really easy to set up all this analytics setup and tracking the conversions without ever touching any code. There's just a couple click setups, putting in some, your unique IDs. But other than that, it's really simple to set everything up. One of the questions I had for people who are watching today is if people are watching, are any of you using analytics on your site? And if so, which analytics platform are you using? So if you want to throw that in the chat. And then the other question I had was, how often do you actually check your stats? Because I found that a lot of people will add Google Analytics or add an analytics platform, but then never actually track or actually use them. And today, some of the things that I also wanted to go over was to kind of introduce that there are other analytics platforms beyond Google Analytics. So something that I've noticed is that Google Analytics, people put that on their site and get completely overwhelmed by it because the new GA4, Google Analytics 4, is really, really complicated. It's the old Universal Analytics was actually really easy. I did freelance work for almost 20 years now as well for clients and sending stuff up. I used to be able to add Google Analytics to client sites, say, go log in, and they could understand 80% of it without any instruction. Now, even I struggle, and I'm in there a lot, to understand where to go, what to do, how to set up reports, and it's wildly confusing. And so that's one of the reasons why I created Conversion Bridge, was because I wanted to move away from Google Analytics. I wanted to use a different platform. And there's Conversion Bridge actually works with 16 different analytics platforms. And I think there's a lot of people who would be surprised to know that there's actually that many different options that are out there today. And that's not even all of them. I'm still working on even more and discovering more every month or two. And these other alternative platforms are easier to use for you as a site owner, and also more privacy friendly than Google Analytics. So there's a lot of upsides to maybe even considering and looking at some of these alternative platforms. So it looks like Google Analytics is probably the most common. It is what I see is what most people use. But yeah, So one of the things that we wanted to go through is also talking about like the importance of tracking those conversions as well, because if you're only tracking, what page views, it's not really giving you an in-depth view of what is getting you to your ultimate goal of getting new membership signups and making more money. I think that's the main reason why most of us are creating websites, is to make more money. But if you're not tracking what is actually effective on your site, or sorry, if you're not tracking conversions, you're not learning what is actually effective on your website. So if you never track, you know, if you have no idea when people actually make a purchase and you're not looking back and seeing where those people came from, then you're not learning what your good ad platforms, what ad platforms are working for you. If you're doing that, you're not working on, maybe you're working with other websites. Maybe there's other types of websites that are referring you traffic. It's good to know if you're sending out email newsletters, are those referring traffic and are those ultimately converting to purchases? But if you're not tracking the conversions, you're not able to know what source of traffic is your best one for generating new membership signups, and then ultimately where to invest more time and energy in getting more of those. Maybe for some reason your site, when maybe you do a partnership with someone who runs an email newsletter, and you notice that you get a lot of new membership signups from other people who have email newsletters. So maybe that's a really good avenue for you to continue to invest in. Let's pay this person who runs an email newsletter $100, and I can get $1,000 in return of new membership signups. And so you can, without tracking that conversions, you're not understanding the actual return on investment that you're getting when you're doing those types of marketing strategies.
I don't know if you can touch on this, but Vasco has a question about GDPR compliant.
Yeah.
And I mean, are there analytics platforms that are GDPR compliant?
Yeah, so basically, Google Analytics is the one that is the biggest challenge. It does take a little bit of extra work. The biggest thing is making sure it works with consent mode, and that's what is next week as well. Is making sure they have the pop-ups and you do consent mode and things like that. I think next week topic will go and dive into that a little bit more as well around cookie pop-ups. But there are some extra steps that are needed that you have to configure in Google Analytics to be more GDPR compliant. It's not just plug and play. There's some good articles online that you can find about that, about some extra steps that are necessary. But this is one reason why I really like the alternative platforms. Is something like Plausible or Perch Analytics or Fathom Analytics. These are all, they don't use cookies at all. So you don't have to do any cookie consent pop-ups for them. The way they track is wildly different. GA4 is moving there a lot. It's a lot closer, but there are still some things that you need to make sure that you configure. But these other ones are just out of the box. You don't even need a cookie pop-up for them. And so it's one reason why I created Conversion Bridge, because I wanted to move to one of those, because I hate those cookie pop-ups. I don't want people to have to use them.
Don't we all hate cookie pop-ups?
Yeah, I think it's universally hated. There's no questions or arguments there. There might be something else on your website though that does require them, but it won't be the analytics platforms that are the reason for them. And it's just a little bit more privacy, or it's a lot more privacy friendly, the alternative platforms. And honestly, that was the reason why there's so many more available now, is because of GDPR and Google, the old Google Analytics, Universal Analytics, not being GDPR friendly. Or there's even in like some countries, I think it's Switzerland, I believe, where Google Analytics is just flat out outlawed. It's still, I think, completely illegal because the data gets sent to like US data centers and stuff like that. So there's just a lot of configuration that you need, extra configuration you need to do. So yeah, it is possible to make Google Analytics GDPR compliant. It's just more of a pain in the butt, to be honest. Yeah,
I think Google Analytics in general is. I mean,
everything about
I took a marketing course, and technically I'm Google Analytics certified. I don't know what that means, and I couldn't tell you what to do in there.
Yeah, it is like I said, even I struggle with doing it with,
I have to Google what to Like whenever I want to find something on Google Analytics, I have to Google how I'm going to do it every time.
AI has been really helpful for me too.
Yeah.
How do I set up this
Thank you,
report in Google
ChatGPT.
Analytics? Yes, exactly. So yeah, so that is definitely a big concern for a lot of people, obviously in Europe. I mean, people in the U.S. need to be concerned about it too. But so yeah, so I'm going through my little notes here, and we've actually touched on a lot of this stuff already just by talking about this. Sorry, that's because it changes.
Yes, Emily. Emily said that's because it changes every single time. And yes, I agree. I feel like I'm looking at a different page every time I open it.
Yeah, exactly. So, so those are some of the challenges that made tracking harder. Other things that I want to talk about also is one of the things that with a membership website, again, my kind of motto is to go beyond page views, is something that I think some people forget about is with a membership site, there's a lot of extra data that you can get, and Conversion Bridge helps with this. And what it can do is to segment your user, your page views. And what that means is what Conversion Bridge can do is it can tell Google Analytics or Plausible or any of the analytics platforms that support it is the person that is viewing this page currently a member? And also, which membership do they have? So then when you're looking at your analytics data, you can actually filter your data and get better understanding of what your maybe not logged in users or people who are guests and just browsing the site are interested in, but then also what your members are actually interested in. And this can help guide you on what type of content to create for each of these audiences. Maybe there's something that works really well to get people into your site. And then when they're members, there's certain content that they actually want to view more. Say there was I'm in Fort Collins. So there's like fortcollinsmag.com. I made that website up, a magazine site. And it's a paid membership to then be able to view certain content on the sites. Some of it's free, some of it's paid, stuff like that. When you start to understand when your members are logged into their membership account and accessing the content they're allowed to behind the paywall, when they access it from Paid Memberships Pro, then you can start to understand, like say there's like an arts and leisure, there's sports, there's we're university town, Colorado State University, maybe there's articles about CSU in there, dining, food and dining type thing. You notice that maybe food and dining is one of the most popular categories, so that might inform you to really double down on writing more content around dining. So being able to segment and really get detailed data about your users and what they're doing on the website can give you more information, more analytics, more data to make more informed decisions. So that's something that I think a lot of people don't think about when they think about their analytics. They just think about what page got the most traffic. Okay, that's good. I should just create that. Well, does that traffic actually lead to more membership signups, or does that traffic lead to more content that members are actually engaging with and finding value in their membership? Because if people sign up and then they're not really finding much value, then they're not going to renew. So that we want to make sure that you give content that they really find value in, and by making sure you're tracking that in your analytics can make you more informed.
And you can just confirm me, you can do that on restricted content?
Yeah. And restricted meaning like it's behind like a
behind
paywall.
Like a paywall. Yeah,
like absolutely. Yeah, because once they're behind there,
see that content.
Yep, absolutely. Once they're behind there, I mean, once they're logged in, Paid Memberships Pro would restrict, they wouldn't see that page,
right,
until.
But you can track all of that, with
exactly.
what they're viewing and clicking.
Yep.
And
Yep, exactly. So that kind of stuff can really make you a much smarter site owner. For you, or it sounds like we have some people who run sites, for clients. So it's something that you can offer to your clients as well. If you're you can offer more in-depth analysis, for people who are doing agencies. I think if I looked at the admin bar annual survey that came out a couple months ago, and noticed that conversion rate optimization was only offered by, I think, like 10%. It was like around 10% of agencies. And it's something like Conversion Bridge could be a tool that you could use as a agency or freelancer who use it for clients, and say, I can help you with your conversion rate optimization. Add Conversion Bridge, set up conversion tracking in a few minutes on all your client sites, give some, track some data for a little while, and then optimize that for your clients. So yeah.
That gives both the membership site owner a huge leg up, but also agencies to start offering that as a leg up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a new service that Conversion Bridge makes it really easy to start tracking conversions, which then makes offering conversion rate optimization as a service really, really simple.
Yeah. Vasco has another question. They said, I'm a bit confused. So we could use Conversion Bridge as a plugin in WordPress, and this would replace other analytic platforms.
No. So Conversion Bridge the name is a bridge because it bridges your website with your analytics platform. It itself is not an analytics platform. And I'm going to walk through here in just a moment. We can do the screen share, and I can walk through what that looks like, setting things up real quick.
Are you ready for me to share your screen?
Yeah, go for it. Yep. Okay. Go for it. So this is the default admin screen in Conversion Bridge. And as I've mentioned, Conversion Bridge works with right now 16 different analytics platforms. And you can enable one or all of them. One really interesting thing is that you could enable Google Analytics, but you could also enable Plausible and Fathom. A lot of these alternative platforms offer free trials for a week or two. And you could test them out and see which ones you like to use. You might find that the reports and how you can access the data in Plausible are a lot easier than maybe, say, Fathom or something along those lines. So you could demo those out, enable all these analytics platforms, test them out for a couple weeks. Honestly, the really tiny JavaScript files, they're not going to affect your page load speed in any way. Even on the Conversion Bridge website, I think I have 5 analytics platforms running right now, every day, all the time. One reason is because for testing and also for demos, and because I'm obviously in there all the time checking out all the platforms. But I have 5 of them running all the time. But basically what you do is you just enable your analytics platform. For example, for Google Analytics, you could add your measurement ID. If you're using Tag Manager, you could also use Google Tag Manager. I personally am not at all a fan of Google Tag Manager. Conversion Bridge is honestly a replacement, tries to be in some ways a replacement for Tag Manager. The idea being, in Tag Manager, I can put one JavaScript file and then use the Tag Manager interface to track all this different stuff based on what I have going on my website. Well, Conversion Bridge is what's doing that for you. It works with your form plugin. It works with Paid Memberships Pro. It works with WooCommerce. It works so you don't have to then set all those integrations up in Tag Manager. Conversion Bridge does it for you. And it's really simple, mostly a couple clicks to get it all set up. So as I talked about, there's some extra properties that can get passed along. So like the author, so you could track if you had, maybe you had a multi-author blog, you could see which author was becoming which author got the most views on their articles, because maybe they write more or write better content that people like more. You could see which categories, in your blog, which tags, whether people are logged in or not, their language. And if you have like different post types, in WordPress, I think you might know what that is. You can include some user information, and that is what is like Paid Memberships Pro sends the user info. What that means is, are they a member, and what membership are they signed up for? So then this little option allows Google, a Conversion Bridge will send this data into Google Analytics. So there's all kinds of options, and that's all you have to do to set up Google Analytics. And then if I wanted to, I could set up, I personally like Persh. It's very easy. They just have a unique ID code. One great thing about some of these alternative platforms, there's called an access link. So if I enable this, we'll hit save in just a moment. I can enable Plausible. I could also enable Fathom. And then you can see we'll have 4 different analytics platforms all enabled on the site. If I refresh, it actually embeds the analytics platforms for like Fathom, Persh, and Plausible. All of these analytics can be right in the dashboard of your WordPress to make it easy for your clients. At the
That's really
moment, Google,
convenient.
at the moment, Google Analytics is not supported because they don't have a simple embeddable.
Nothing is simple.
Yeah, with Google Analytics, it's not simple. So Google Analytics is not yet supported, but these alternative platforms are enabled. So really simple to add those. The other thing that Conversion Bridge works with is ad platforms. So tracking conversions with ads is also something that if you're an agency or you're doing that for your own website, something that you absolutely need to track conversions for so that you can optimize your ads. If you're not tracking conversion, if you're running ads and you're not tracking conversions, you're bleeding money because you really need to optimize those ads for ones that actually convert. And so this is really helpful. Makes it really simple to set up tracking. All you have to do is set up your destination ID in Google Ads. And for the most part, there's an extra little step for Google Ads. Meta Ads is a little bit easier. You just add your pixel ID. So this adds the Facebook or Meta pixel to your site, makes it easy to track. Same thing for Microsoft Ads. And again, it works with, we got 8 different ad platforms at the moment, and I'm continually adding more every few months. For a couple of the ad platforms, I'm going to get into, this seems like a good time to get into, you might notice this thing called enhanced conversions. And something about, with modern privacy tracking and all that kind of stuff, it's become harder to associate an ad click with that actual customer because of new GDPR, cookie laws, and all this kind of stuff. So let's say you had like a cookie banner on your website and someone does not accept it. Well, it can be hard to then track that conversion from that ad click. But what enhanced conversions does is it, in a secure way, this is allowed, it's secure. Say they did a membership sign up. Say they're logged into their Facebook page with their, Derek at conversionbridgewp.com. I'm logged into Facebook with that. I go to this site. I sign up for a membership in Paid Memberships Pro using Derek at Conversion Bridge WP. What enhanced conversions does is it allows Conversion Bridge will send the email address securely back to the ad platform. And so that Meta, Google Ads, and all that kind of stuff will know that I clicked on that ad and then ultimately did have a conversion. So even with the cookie pop-up, and it's not, so they're not actually being tracked, we can still actually track that conversion back to that user because we're using their email address as a way to do that. And this is an allowed way to do it. It's done securely. It's sent, it's hashed, its data's hashed, it's secure, follow all the protocols and all kind of stuff. And you can, and it's been shown to significantly increase the amount of tracked conversions in your ad platforms by using enhanced conversions. So, Google Ads sometimes says, just put this little tracking code on your conversion page. That's still not enough. If you really want to make sure you're tracking as much conversions as possible, as many conversions as possible, you want to make sure you're also doing enhanced conversions. So that's one reason why Conversion Bridge is a huge advantage over just cutting and pasting tracking tags. And the other advantage is, that it's being done right, that it's always being updated, that it's accurate, and it works with all these things. So that's enhanced conversions, which was one of the topics that I wanted to get to. Let's see. The other thing is that Conversion Bridge currently works with 58 different plugins, Paid Memberships Pro being one of those. So it also works with some core WordPress things as well. So to enable tracking in Paid Memberships Pro, it's just enable the integration. I want to track membership purchases. And you can also track aspects of the funnel, one of them being the begin checkout process. So funnels are another thing that are worth tracking with, funnels are another component of analytics and tracking that we want to do. Instead of just tracking purchases, we want to track the steps along the way that users take. And we want to see where they fall off. I'm going to show, for example, this is just a really, really rough, basic demo website that has Conversion Bridge installed. But say, here's just a homepage that has some blogs. Maybe they visit, why is Conversion Bridge the best analytics plugin? Of course it is. I think it is. And then they go to, maybe you have a landing page that talks about your membership right here. And then there's a sign up button on there. Okay, we go ahead and sign up. Now we go to this is the begin checkout page in Paid Memberships Pro. They go in here, then they can, we'll do that. And we'll submit and checkout. And then this is the thank you or the confirmation page. And now we've tracked a purchase. All right. So if we went to, for example, in Plausible. So Plausible is a great alternative analytics platform. We can go in here and then we can see our funnels. And what this is we tracked when they saw the membership details page. We saw the begin checkout step and the PMPro purchase. I'm not in PMPro too often. So it does, this one visitor, one. I went through the whole process. But typically, like here in Google Analytics, this is like another client website that I have. And this is what often it looks like in Google Analytics, for example, what that purchase journey looks like. So you'll often see like they'll start a session, then they'll add to cart, they'll begin the checkout, and then they'll do the purchase. And you'll see that people, abandon the funnel over time. Well, we can see, for example, this is actually a traditional e-commerce website. It's not a PMPro site. This is actually a WooCommerce website. But you can see where they view the product and then where they add to cart. There's a huge drop off in the view to product and then the add to cart. So something about the individual product pages, we could probably make some improvements on those individual product pages, if you're doing Paid Memberships Pro, maybe if you saw a big drop off from viewing that one page where it talks about the membership and what's included, and the people actually beginning the checkout or adding to cart, stuff like that. If you're seeing a huge drop off, then there's something about that page that you need to fix. There's something you could try and experiment. Maybe it's the language, maybe it's where the add to cart buttons are placed on the page, things like that. That there's some things that you can experiment with and try to improve the conversion rate on that page from the view product step to the add to cart to the begin checkout, so on and so forth. So that's something that Conversion Bridge also helps with, as well as is creating those funnels so that you can again see where people are abandoning and maybe not completing where you would hope that they do on there. Again, other things that maybe you want to track on your site, maybe if you're using forms. I like the WS Form plugin. Setting up conversion tracking on that is really simple. Forms are like a contact form on a page. Maybe you're an agency, or maybe your site, the only thing you have is lead generation or landing pages where you want them to submit a form. You want to track those when they submit the form. It's really, really easy to do that. Say I was doing this in the WS Form. It's really simple to just, lightning bolt. We want to Conversion Bridge. We just add Conversion Bridge as an action, and then we can, and then we're tracking conversions in there. Let's see, I could do it for, Gravity Forms is another one. So if we have Gravity Forms, we have setting, we have conversion tracking, and literally all it is boom, conversion tracking is enabled for Gravity Forms. You can then customize this as well. We talked about enhanced conversions. It also works with all the form plugins as well. So I can send enhanced data, the first name, the last name, or the email. So when someone submits a form, I'm also, that could be tracked in Google Ads, Meta Ads, all that kind of stuff, again, to increase our conversion tracking success rate in those ad platforms. So yeah, very easy to track that in all the platforms.
So this may be we have a question about user role, but so there is a user role add-on with Paid Memberships Pro where you can assign a user role based on what level they check out at. So the user role would use either the WordPress default roles or a custom role.
Mhm.
But would that be something that can be tracked?
Yep, absolutely. It should be in here. Like all good demos, find something that might be a little bug in there. User role should be listed here, and I'm not sure why it's not, but it should absolutely be in here. So I will look into that, and if it's not in there, it's something I could absolutely add. So, but yeah, that's something that, and I'll make a note after this to make sure it's there and look into that. But yeah, but roles is definitely something that could get added to the extra properties in there. And so what that looks like, for example, in Fathom, we could filter, we go by property, membership could be one of them is, and then for example, paid membership pro test on this site. So then now I'm now viewing all the pages that people who are currently logged into the website as my test membership. This filter could then be done for the exact same thing. It would just say role. The role is admin. It could be, subscriber or whatever custom roles that you have. You could then filter that, and Conversion Bridge could absolutely help make sure that that gets sent over along with the page view data. And again, going beyond just basic page views, you're getting more advanced page view data to understand who and what, and more detailed data about what people are doing on your site.
So you talked
It's
about
a great question.
forms.
Yep, talked about forms.
And one way that most membership sites extend their checkout or user profile is the user fields functionality in Paid Memberships Pro. Could you extend, maybe you have to extend Conversion Bridge to track those user fields rather, because it's not a specific like form plugin, but that, it is on the, what we consider, a checkout page or a checkout form.
No, that's a good question. But that would all get lumped into just the checkout process. And honestly, the main things that the 99, the absolute most important thing is the email address. But that we want to collect for that enhanced conversion. And that's in the default checkout fields. You're always asking for an email address. So you're always going to do that. Secondary are first and last name. And those are included in the default, checkout process for Paid Memberships Pro. And, even for other things like WooCommerce or something like that, or Lifter LMS, things like that. So those are the most important fields. So we wouldn't really need to worry about the other ones because the ad platforms don't accept those other things. They don't. They wouldn't really
and all of that information would be stored as user meta as well, exactly. Which you could, if you wanted to figure out like how people answered a certain question the same way, you could export your data and figure all that out.
Yeah, that would be separate. That's not something that would be in analytics, because again, analytics is more about your marketing purposes. That's more like user analysis and who are the, if you added an extra question to the checkout, like where did you hear about us, or stuff like that. That's your user analysis, but not something that we necessarily do in the checkout process, or sorry, in your analytics. Yeah. But that's a good question.
Awesome. Yeah, that was a me question, not a comment question. I told you I'd have questions. I'm learning here too.
One other thing that about Conversion Bridge that's also great is where do I go? I go to memberships orders. It's something called the conversion journeys. So actually, if we go into Conversion Bridge and we go to journeys, what this is it gives you a comprehensive look at what the user did page by page until they made that conversion action. So we can see for this user, for example, they went to the homepage, they went to this blog post, then they went to that membership details page, they began the checkout, and then they made a purchase. So this is great to really, every time someone signs up for a membership on your site, I have this directly integrated into Paid Memberships Pro, where say you're looking at an order, it's actually right here as well. So you can see right here as you're looking at the membership details for this person, you can see the conversion journey right here, see all the pages that they viewed, and what they did to arrive at that. And this can, just by looking at this, when people buy my plugin Conversion Bridge, I love checking this out and just every time I just kind of get a look and see where did they go? What was maybe some good content that they found important in order to, that they needed to view in order to make that purchase? So just gives you some additional insights as to that. One other great thing is that it's also included in the email that you get. So whenever you get that journey also gets can be added to the email for the admin. It does not go to your customers. It can be sent to you as the site owner, and it's really easy to include in the email templates. Yep. So if admin change, what is it? It is checkout. Let's do checkout paid. Oop, that is not to the admin. Checkout paid admin.
Yeah.
So then you see there's just a little template tag that gets added called conversion journey. Follows the same template as those. And if you forget, it should be in the list down here. It should be in there. Anyway, it's just this little conversion journey. And then so you can choose where it goes in your custom email to yourself as the admin. So that gets all tracked, and you can see all that that stuff in there.
We do have one question about the journey. They said this journey is actually really pretty cool. How is it tracked without cookies?
So there are two different ways to track in Conversion Bridge. You can do cookies. It's the default method. Ooh, where do we go? Options. But you could also do fingerprinting, which is the same method that the alternative platforms use. And what that is it's just a unique idea. It's combining several different data points, hashing it into a unique value, and then doing that. But it's the exact same strategy that like Plausible, Fathom, and those other things use. So you could, in Conversion Bridge, you can choose how you would like to do that. And you can also disable if you don't ever want to do conversion journey tracking for whatever reasons. You can do that. It does also work with some of the cookie plugins that are out there, CookieBot, CookieS, Compliance, and I'm actually looking to my next update that I'm going to be doing is going to be making a push to integrate with a few more of those cookie plugins, because there's quite a few of those out there. So I get requests for those, and I try and meet all those requests. Some pretty common settings while we're here. You can disable tracking for certain roles. So if you don't want to track, like I could disable so you don't track your own administrator views and skew your own data, stuff like that. I keep administrator available because this is my development site. You can also disable it by environment, currency, default currencies. You can choose who's allowed to view these analytics dashboards by roles. Say you only want a certain user role to be able to view the dashboard in here for whatever reason, and some other logging things. But yeah, for the most part, yeah.
That's
some
awesome.
Pretty common stuff.
Do you have a favorite cookie plugin?
No, because I just don't like them. So I don't like them at all. Other thing is if, like I said, there's 58 plugin integrations. And if you go to the conversionbridgewp.com site, you'll see them. There's a lot of them listed here. Lifter LMS, I know, is part of, our LearnDash and stuff like that. There's MailPoet. There's, all kinds of form plugins, all that kind of jazz. Page builders, Elementor, stuff like that. Elementor is a pretty common one. And then sent to customers. Can we put into a dashboard? I mean, the dashboard, it's always available here. If you go into Conversion Bridge, go to journeys. All of them are searchable. You can filter by date. You filter by type. So I only want to view, purchases. So now I can only see the purchases, events, or form submissions if you're doing that. So say I only wanted to do form submissions, I could filter just by those, and then I could view all those as well. So that's one way to include it. And again, if you're doing it for clients, it's in the admin email to whoever's managing the site, stuff like that. So yeah. Other things that this does, it does work with like 58 plugins that I mentioned for page builders, makes it really easy to do that. So like if we were doing, let's see, Elementor being the most common, let me activate that here on the site. And then I have Oh my gosh. We edit with Elementor. So some of the common things that maybe we want to do. Oh, I didn't activate Pro.
While you activate Pro, Vasco says it's the first time looking at this plugin, so of course they have a lot of questions, and
Yeah,
that's good. We like the questions; it keeps
yeah,
us
exactly.
engaged and going, and
that's what we're here for.
Maybe things that we're not thinking about for me to ask. So
yeah, so for example, Elementor, and this works with bricks or other page builders, but like there's the the form here, conversion tracking. Again, it's very simple. You just an Elementor form, you add conversion tracking with a toggle. Very simple. For example, it even works with like say this is what is this called? This is a call to action element or widget. I forgot what Elementor calls them. Again, very simple. Add conversion tracking. There's no cutting, pasting tags, code, all that kind of stuff. It's all just simple toggles to enable that on various things. Say, I think they have like a button. Yeah, there's just like a button widget. You click on that, same thing, conversion tracking. Yep, all done. This button in there. Then you could say like, this is my Elementor button. Hit publish. And then what we can do is if we preview this page and then we click on this button, obviously I didn't set up a link, that's what it is. But then if we go into plausible, oh, I really hope this works right off the bat. Elementor button, you can see it was tracked. So you can see our, here and, all the things that we've been doing this morning have been getting tracked: the PMO purchase, the membership details page, the begin checkout, clicking that button. See, I set that up in what, 10 seconds? To set up conversion tracking for Elementor on a button in about 10 seconds, and it's already there. Form submissions, this is the WS form submission that's going in there, and you'll see here that the purchase, the revenue data goes in there so that you're getting all the actual data. So this isn't just the basic conversion tracking tag. It includes all the data, the actual revenue data about it. So this is why, because I think like Google Analytics, if you look online, they say just cut and paste this little tag and it'll track a purchase. Yes, it does, but it only tracks that a purchase happened, not the items that were in there. For example, if we go into this e-commerce purchases, here we go in here, we can see again, this is like a WooCommerce site. We can actually get all the individual items that were purchased on here, and then start learning who purchased what and things like that. To dive into that a little bit more, this is also really helpful. One of my favorite examples that I like to give is, let's say we're doing paid ads and you spend $100 on 2 different ads. One ad gets you 5 purchases for $100, and another ad gets you 2 purchases but does $1,000. If you did basic tracking, you would think that first ad actually won because it got 5 purchases. But if you got the more detailed ad, you would learn that this one actually did $1,000 in sales. And then you can see that you want higher volume sales because they bought higher ticket items. So going beyond just a purchase was registered is important. You want to know what exactly was actually purchased and the amount that was purchased, things like that. And Conversion Bridge makes it easy to do. It works with Paid Memberships Pro, WooCommerce, all the easy digital downloads, other e-commerce plugins that it supports, stuff like that. So yeah. One of the other things that I wanted to get into was the idea of custom events. If basically there is something on your site that Conversion Bridge can't track with a native integration, there's always a custom thing. A common thing is maybe say you have like a phone number on a site, or there's, you want to track when someone, you have a button in the header of your site and you want to track when someone clicks that specific link. You could find basically what it does is uses CSS selectors. So you find a unique CSS selector for this. And then you throw it in here, say when someone clicks, let's say I want to do like my nav li dot, like, what is it? Contact A. So you have your list item contact A. You want to call that, like contact gosh, navigation, contact, click. And then you could have that track all the clicks on that specific element. Again, I'm just making up some quick CSS selectors for speed here, but so then you can, makes it easy to quickly set up click tracking, or maybe when they scroll to a certain element on your page, or they've been on a page for 10 seconds, you could track that as something on there. And then these are just other types of events. Maybe there's a JavaScript event. Maybe there's another plugin that triggers a JavaScript event. And then you could register that as well. So there's all different types of things that you could track as custom events as well. And then you could, of course, restrict this to a specific page on your site, so that maybe, I don't know, maybe you had a specific landing page and you wanted to track if people scrolled to a certain element on that landing page to make sure that they got there, and you want to track that as a conversion for some reason, you could do so.
All this is really, really cool.
Yeah.
Now,
so I'm trying to
with
think
how easy it is to go a little click happy on tracking just about almost everything, do you have any like best practices or tips of how you would choose what you really do want to get tracked and have that data? Because I mean, you could go through and click so many different things, and then you have all this data compiling up, and then it's like, but what do I even do with it?
Yeah. In my opinion, you can't collect too much data, because you can't go back in time and get that data again. So if you think it's something you'd want to track, set it up. If you don't use it, you don't use it. It's not the end of the world. It's not going to break your analytics or cause problems in any way. So yeah, if you think, if we were looking at let's look at the Paid Memberships Pro website, what would we want to track on here? Like I said, maybe there's a choose plan. I would want to track how many people click on this specific button. I would want to track how many people click on this specific button. I want to see, are these actually leading people to do something? If no one ever clicks on this choose a plan button, maybe I replace this with a watch a video button. That maybe would be a better use of this space and this on the homepage here, and then track how many people click on the watch a video button. And then I know, okay, well, if only 10 people over the course of a month clicked on the choose a plan, but 1,000 people clicked on the watch a video, clearly that the watch a video button was more effective. So those are some good things to track on a site. If I was going through here again, does this choose a plan button or view integration, is this leading people to click on things? Those are good things to track. Call to action buttons are often good things to track. I don't see a newsletter subscribe form on here. I don't know if you guys do that, but if there was one, that would be something worthwhile tracking. You could set up search tracking. Conversion Bridge even actually works as a core WordPress thing. You can actually track searches and keywords, and so that might be something worth tracking. How many people actually use the search feature on your site? So, I mean, it's literally there. I've set it up. That's all you have to do with Conversion Bridge. It's worth checking the box, right? These are track logins. How many people log in? That's using the default core WordPress login. So if you're using Paid Memberships Pro, maybe that's not the right login. Actually, off the top of my head, I think it does do even Paid Memberships Pro login forms. Have to double check that. There's so many integrations, I don't have them all memorized. Stuff like that. So, media, how many, if you have YouTube videos on your site, do you want to track YouTube video plays, or specifically YouTube plays? File downloads, image clicks if you wanted. It's there. I don't know why people do it, but it's there. Someone asked for it, so I added it. So yeah, and if there's a plugin that Conversion Bridge doesn't support, usually you can absolutely ask me, and usually pretty quickly I get them added, depending on how well the plugin is coded. It can be same day sometimes, same week sometimes, stuff like that. Yeah. After 58, I've gotten pretty good and pretty quick at knowing the common structures of how most plugins work, and so doing the integrations at this point becomes pretty quick.
That's incredible.
Let's see. Yeah, I think we covered I feel like we've covered all the stuff that I wanted to cover. Is there anything else that maybe you or anyone else had a question about?
I don't think I have any more questions. If people do have questions, please put them in the comments. And while we wait for those questions to come in, I'll just go ahead and remove your screen for a hot minute. Okay. I can put it back if we need it. But while we wait for questions to trickle in, I will talk about some upcoming events that we have for Paywall Pro. Tomorrow morning, I'm back here at 9 a.m. for Eastern time for Coding with Sam. If you're not familiar with that, it is a great way to get about a 15 to 20 minute live stream session where I code one of our premium code recipes from our site onto a demo site. That way, I can show you that if I can go live on YouTube and customize something on a site, you can do it for your membership site at home. And then our next open office hours, we kind of teased a little bit, but it is Cookie Consent with Kim Coleman on September 18th at 11 a.m. Eastern. And I will be planning the open office hours for Q4 on Monday. So if anybody has suggestions as to what videos they want to see coming up, please let me know. You can reach out to us on our contact page, or if you're in our Slack community, you can reach out to me on there. If you are in our Slack community, we have a open co-working session on the 23rd, and you have to be in the community to get the Google Meet link to join Kim Coleman and I for that. Emily Sparkle is actually in the comments of this session right now. She was on the open co-working we had this past week. And we actually had like a real life version of Coding with Sam with Kim and I. We dug into code and some taxonomy stuff. So it was really fun. It was a really good sessions to join. And let's see. Someone said, will this be recorded? It is being recorded. We're going to keep this video on our YouTube channel. Derek agreed to that. So it will stay on our YouTube channel. And then I also told Derek before we went live that in the near future, I will write a blog post about membership analytics, and I will throw in Conversion Bridge on there as well and link the video in the blog post, and that will get sent out in our newsletter. I don't have an ETA on that, but it will happen. And then let's see. Kim Coleman says, I think Sam is going to come back to me and say, let's improve this in Q4. Absolutely. Yeah, I was getting ready to DM you. Because this is really cool. I mean, even just like the buttons on our homepage that you said, the figuring out if the search bar is useful or not to our visitors. Mm-hmm. I have been trying to track that on Google Analytics for months. It's not easy.
Not much in Google Analytics is.
No.
And honestly, like I said, I think it's really fun to throw in, try Plausible, try a couple of the other ones, throw them on there and test them out. And that's what's great about Conversion Bridge is that you don't have to then figure out what the tracking code is for Plausible, cut and paste. Where does that go? Conversion Bridge handles it all for you. So you can try some of these other platforms and see, we actually like this. I actually like using Plausible a lot more. And then you find, because it's easier to use, you actually review your data more often. Because that's one of the things that I found with a lot of people is, I set it up. I know I need to set up conversion tracking. I just never look at it because it's so confusing. And so I don't do it and I get overwhelmed. And then my suggestion is try a different analytics platform, one that you can actually look at. Plausible is so much easier to look at, as you saw in that thing. It's a more straightforward throwback to the old days, depending on how long you've been in web, like I have for 20 years. You remember the good old days of easier analytics dashboards that actually make sense. And so you might find using one of those, it makes you more likely to look at your data and thus become a more informed site owner.
And the fact that
it's worth
some of
price
those
to do that
are right there on your WordPress admin, and you don't have to open that new tab and go into other tracking and analytics and all of that. Like that is a huge convenience for people who are always in their WordPress site.
Yeah, exactly. And the last little thing that I want to throw out there is that for anyone who does agencies, who has agency stuff, Conversion Bridge can be white labeled if you wanted, and make it look, you can basically hide it so that your clients, I'm someone who did not like my clients messing with stuff. And I always felt nervous giving them too much access. So it is something that Conversion Bridge can be white labeled to either look like your own, you can name it whatever you want. You can name it, Derek Ashour's conversion system, if you wanted, or you could just completely hide it. Once it's set up, you just hide Conversion Bridge from the admin so that your clients can't break anything and cause tracking to, like they start fiddling with things and delete something because they think they know what they're doing, and then start disabling tracking or doing something, and all of a sudden they're like, "Why don't I have stats for 2 months?" Well, you went in there and you disabled it for some reason. I don't know why, but it can be white labeled, kind of hidden from clients, stuff like that, if you would like.
That's really cool. Well, if nobody else has any other questions, I would say we can wrap this up a few minutes early.
If anyone wanted to, I mentioned, Sam, that if someone wanted to throw a site in the chat, I'd be happy to review it like I just did with this Paid Memberships Pro site, about what are some things that I would recommend tracking. But if you also look, there's a Conversion Bridge YouTube channel where I do that on a few, I think I have 3 sites so far where I just kind of walk through, walk through a site. Here's what I would track, and here's how to set it up with Conversion Bridge. They're only about 5-6 minute videos. They're really short and quick because it's so easy to do with Conversion Bridge.
I just dropped the YouTube link to your channel in the comments. And earlier I did drop your website in the comments as well for everybody. We will also update the YouTube description to include those links as well.
Wonderful.
Well, I see that you're on the Paid Memberships Pro site. So yeah. I would imagine that we could even go as far as like how many people join the community through, if you go through that join Slack button.
Yep, exactly. Yep, you could add some tracking to this button.
I have so many ideas now, Kim. I'm gonna be a monster when I get back.
Yeah, because without tracking, you're basically guessing as to what actually works.
Vasco said I would like to drop my website, but they would have to ask permission to their boss first.
Well, Vasco, if you want to reach out, you can also find me on Twitter, at Derek Ashour. And if you want to reach out to me on there or send a contact through the Conversion Bridge website, we could do that separately, and I could record a short little, video just for you as well.
That's awesome.
Happy to do that.
That's a great service. And how fast you can add the different integrations and everything is incredible. Is it just you building this?
Yes, it is. Yeah, me doing the development and support.
Wow. Well, that's incredible. I know it's hard. So being a one-man show, that props to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It is. Yeah, it's fun.
Awesome. All right. Yeah, Vasco said that he will reach out to you.
I'll be looking forward to it.
All right. Well, Derek, thank you so much for joining us. This was incredible. I now have all of these marketing ideas running through my head of all the data I'm going to collect. It's exciting to see what Q4 brings, especially because we're going to have things like sales and Black Friday coming up. And so tracking all of that information would be even like so many juicy ideas. To everybody else, stay tuned for a quick video from Kim Coleman.
I hope you got some value out of what you just watched. If you're serious about building a profitable membership site, the fastest way to launch or scale is with a premium plan at paidmembershipspro.com. We've made it as affordable as possible to get started, and most people who upgrade stick with us for years. Why? Because they're making money, and we keep delivering expert support, premium add-ons, and a private community of over 1,000 creators building businesses just like yours. Click the link to compare plans or keep learning. We'll see you in the next video.